Recently, I was in Chiang Mai and I was taking some photos of this noodle shop and got into a conversation with the owner. It was pretty random, but it was a really interesting conversation. It was a really nice time, and it just reminded me of how often Northern Thai people are so very social, and that when we're traveling, it's easy to miss out on this if we're feeling a bit shy or if we're not sure if we'll be understood. But I want to encourage you to take every opportunity when you're traveling in Thailand to connect with local people. I do speak some Thai, so this does help me. And I've got one other thing that really I find opens up conversations quite often, and that's my mustache. I'll tell you about why in just a minute. But you'll find that oftentimes, even in places like the night market, if you're buying something, you've got to haggle a little bit for price. For the locals, it's not just about getting the price right, but it's also about communicating. It's also about connecting and having conversation and having an enjoyable experience. This can be whether you're checking in at your hotel or buying a coffee or whatever you're doing. There's loads of opportunities just to have a little bit of conversation. I quite often notice that Thai people, if they're working together with somebody else, especially doing manual tasks. If in our area they're picking fruit or harvesting rice, they're never doing it alone. Quite often you'll see people out working and they'll be in small groups or at least two together. It's because they love to have that connection and have some communication. They don't like being by themselves when they're working, or particularly too when they're eating. So having an understanding of this helps you to see that they really enjoy conversation. And quite often when you're traveling, you'll find people that will have a conversation with you even if you don't speak any Thai. And as somebody who used to be quite shy, it was a really interesting phenomenon to come into a culture like this, a culture in Northern Thailand where people connect really easily, and it's helped me to become less of a shy person. I've also noticed too, when we've got friends around, if there's a group of Thai women, they're going to be in the kitchen and they're not just preparing food, they're catching up, they're having great conversation. It's always a buzz and it's never an issue. Even later on, if they're doing the dishes together, it's a social occasion rather than just work or preparing food. And I really love this about Thai people, how they really enjoy the conversation and the communication. And even if you don't speak any Thai, often you'll meet people that want to practice their English, and being a foreigner, being a traveller, they see you as a good opportunity to do this. I was up at one of the temples that's partway up Doi Satep called Wat Palat recently, and there was a few monks taking photos of each other, so I asked them if they minded if I took some pictures, and they were quite happy for me to do this. And it was just a neat opportunity. They wanted to practice some English, or a couple of them did, and so we engaged in conversation. And then a little bit later they were taking some more photos and we joined in again and had more conversation. It just made the whole experience of being there so much more enjoyable. It's a beautiful temple. We were enjoying taking photos ourselves, but to connect with some locals, it really made the whole experience that much richer. Quite often I will have people talk to me about my mustache. Even if they're not talking to me, I'll hear them talking about me sometimes. And they won't be talking about me in a negative way. They'll be saying carabao, which is actually not a Thai word. It's a Filipino, it's a Tagalog word that means buffalo in Tagalog. But in Thailand, it's the name of a very famous folk rock band called Carabao. And the guys in the band use Carabao as their surname. So there's at Carabao and Let Carabao and others. Let Carabao plays the guitar and he has quite a wonderful handlebar mustache. So people connect me with this famous guitarist and it's always fun. So when I first started hearing this, I would turn around to people and give the call sign like this, which is what people do at the Carabao sign. Rather than punching the air, they're making the buffalo horns. So it's really fun, and then people recognize, oh, he knows Carabao, so it opens up a way for conversation. And so I've enjoyed this for years, and in later years it's even been more fun because I've gone an extra step further. Rather than just giving the call sign, I got a tattoo. So The tattoo's been on my arm for a while now. I put it there for my 10th anniversary of being in Thailand. The guys in the band, or a couple of them at least, have got the same tattoo. It's their logo. It's also on an energy drink that the band produces called Carabao Dang, which is like Red Bull. And it just is always such a fabulous builder of connection and communication, and a fun chat for sure. And it goes beyond Thailand too. I was visiting New Zealand one time. I'd stopped to meet a friend and I was a little bit early, stopped to have a beer in this bar, and there was a good selection of craft beers on tap. And the barman asked me what I'd like. I said, "Oh, just give me a minute and I will choose one of your fine beers here." And as I was looking, he said, "Oh, what's that on your t-shirt, mate?" And I have this t-shirt on, which is a Carabao t-shirt. And he recognized, and I looked up at him. It's like, oh, sure enough, this young man's Thai. So we had a lovely conversation about Carabao. I showed him a tattoo. I talked to him about it. Turns out that I've actually been living in Thailand longer than he had. He'd emigrated to New Zealand with his family when he was young, but he knew the music. I also know the music. I've been to their shows, and that is such a fantastic experience, a great time and some great music. And so even if you don't wear a handlebar mustache, if you're traveling in Thailand, even if you don't speak any Thai, take the opportunities or make the opportunities arise to connect with the local people. It can make such a difference to your experience while traveling here. You'll find that people are often open and often really friendly and really encouraging. And if you do speak some Thai, it can be even more fun. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about my experience of speaking Thai, you can check out this video here. And if you've had really great opportunities, if you've had some good experience connecting with Thai people, please leave us a comment down below and share your experience with others. Thanks very much for watching.